most violent society that history's ever created. I'm not committed to nonviolence in any way.
Man or woman who hates communism the most, that is to say, the man or woman who knows the least about communism, is the man or woman who wants to know the least about communism. That is to say, snakes are my enemies. They come to bite me, and I don't even want to know what they look like.
So we're going to see about stopping, regardless of what these people think we should do. Because school is not important, and work is not important. Nothing's more important than stopping fascism, because fascism will stop us all.
Yo. Welcome to the Forest Pod, live and direct from my brother Van's. It's your boy Comrade Villain, and I'm here with Pretty Bad Comrade.
That's right.
Say what's good, bro.
What's good?
All right, now what is good, bro?
We going right into it?
Let's go into it. This is it. All right. The Forest Pod, your 30,000-foot view of geopolitics zoomed out. Don't get lost, forest for the trees, opposite of the weeds with Ezra Klein and shit.
Bam.
Yeah.
I thought you about to start rapping.
I sometimes. But yeah, man, what's good, man?
Nothing, man. Same old. Just trying to survive like everybody else. You know what I mean?
I do. I guess let me go ahead and address the ambiance. There's people in the background. Don't worry about them. Don't listen to them. Listen to me and Pretty Bad Comrade. They're prepping for a music video shoot. My brother Van, we're going to interview him in the second half of the show. Mm-hmm. But the first half is going to be, I don't know, a lesson on fascism. How you describe it?
A lesson. I guess you can take what you want from it, but yeah, we're just gonna cover some of the history of fascism and what it's meant.
Try to
over
clear
time.
up what the fuck it means.
Yeah, that's a word that gets thrown around a lot, and people mean different things.
Like we saw in the interview with my brother Van, he thought fascists were leftists.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's common.
Is there anything news-wise you want to talk about before we do that? You got any Epstein updates?
Nah.
I know you've been following that shit closely.
Nah, honestly, I have not been following that at all. No, not really. I don't think there's any. I mean, the terrorist is about to hit this week, so we about to see what that looks like.
You heard about the jobs numbers?
Yeah, they weren't good. Oh yeah, he fired that way.
I'm glad you talked about tariffs. That made me think about jobs numbers. It made me think about how he fired the fucking head of Bureau of Labor Statistics.
Yeah.
For putting out the jobs numbers.
Yeah. Was she the head?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and apparently, like, people were saying that this is somebody he had praised before, like, for.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
He put someone that he wanted.
Yeah.
She was just saying what the fuck the jobs were. Anyways, she's out. A lot of people saying, hey, there's a warning sign right there. To me, I'd say, yeah, we're about like 20 warning signs deep. I don't know how many more warning signs y'all need.
Right.
This is it. We're here.
No doubt.
But yeah, so that was wild. Terrorists, we are about to see finally repercussions of that. Just in time for school, which is what people said. And then the holiday season. But,
Yeah.
All right, any new shit? Or you just go in it?
No, I guess we can go ahead and get into it.
Get it. Let's do it. All right, I'll let you take over.
All right, so we're going to be talking about fascism. And, I'm going to try to, I got a lot of stuff written here, and, so bear with me. But I'm going to try to draw some connections between colonialism, liberalism, and sort of the failures of capitalism and sort of the rise of fascism due to that.
Let's do it.
All right. So I wanted to start with some quotes from some leftists that I've written about fascism, just to kind of set the tone.
All right.
This is from Vijay Prashad. Fascism is not an accident. It's an endpoint of capitalism in crisis.
I've heard that before.
Yeah, Frantz Fanon said fascism is colonialism turned inward.
I like that.
Yeah, I like that one too. M.A. Cesar, he said it is a it is a society of oppression and racial domination. And Samir Amin, called Fascism, says fascism emerges when the capitalist elite abandons democracy to preserve control. So, fascism, and I didn't really know this until you mentioned it, has like the Latin root for the word is
Faces, something like that. Yeah.
Which means a bundle of rods with an axe symbolizing strength through unity and the power of the state. So, in case you wanted to know where the root word comes from.
Right, and I learned that because of Mussolini's Italy, which I'm sure you're about to get into, but his, excuse me, a lot of the Italian fascist propaganda used the imagery of the sticks like wrapped together, and like they would have like a wooden axe on the head of it.
Right.
And I think they would say like the axe would be labeled like the state maybe, and then like the people or what the sticks are labeled.
Okay.
Essentially, it's saying like we're stronger together. Like the
Right.
state is the extension of the people.
Right.
Under fascism. That's what fascism is, just the people.
Right.
Which people? That's part of the problem. But yeah, all right, go ahead.
Right. All right, so we're gonna start like post, World War One, and I should say, World War One was a capitalist war, which is why Lenin didn't support it, why Eugene Debs didn't support the First World War, and many leftists and socialists. All right, so Italy emerged from World War One deeply unstable. Though it had been on the winning side, the war had devastated the economy and polarized society. 1.2 million dead, massive inflation, and widespread unemployment. Italy had been promised territories by the Allies, but received only some. Nationalists and veterans felt betrayed. Liberal Italy, a constitutional monarchy under King Victor Emmanuel III, had failed to deliver prosperity or unity. Its parliamentary system was seen as corrupt, weak, and disconnected popular needs. This post-war chaos led to what historian Emilio Gentile called a crisis of liberal civilization. The liberal state, this is a quote here, the liberal state in Italy could not withstand the blows of war, economic crisis, and revolutionary fear. So we're going to get into the rise of class conflict in Italy. Over 1 million workers participated in factory occupations. Peasants seized lands from absentee landlords. Socialist and anarchist movements inspired by the Russian Revolution grew rapidly, and the Socialist Party (PSI) gained huge influence. So there was a large. You got to remember, this was, 1917. Was the Russian Revolution.
Bolsheviks.
So there were rising socialist movements all over Europe.
You had a very similar thing happening in Spain with the Spanish Civil War with the anarchists, I guess they were socialists, anarchists, the Marxists, and then the fascists, which I guess that would be later after this point. But Europe was, there was a lot of leftists, like radical Bolshevik Marxist leftists. It was in the air.
Yeah, definitely. What did Marx write in Communist Manifesto? That a specter haunts Europe.
A specter is haunting Europe.
Yeah.
That's how we started. The first line, first bar.
Yeah, so the specter was definitely out there. So Italian elites, industrialists, landowners, and military officials feared a Bolshevik-style revolution, but rather than turn to liberal democracy, they turned to Mussolini and the fascists to crush the left. Fascism, this is a quote by Antonio Gramsci, who was an Italian Marxist. Fascism was the instrument of a counter-revolution aimed at preventing a socialist revolution.
Yeah, like even in your definition right there, it's not interesting, but like they classify the liberals as like, that's not the left.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, I think these terms were a lot more defined back then. Like, obviously that's
It came right out of the French Revolution. I know the left and right did, because I did some research on this recently with like who sat to the left, who sat to the right. But when was the French Revolution? Like right before this?
No, the French Revolution was like late 1700s.
Oh yeah, I'm tripping.
Yeah.
So it was way before this.
Yeah.
But that's where it comes from. It has like literal definitions. But the like how we describe it in my brother Van's interview, it was like those kind of things were already associated with the right and the left.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to talk about Mussolini's early years a little bit. Mussolini had been a socialist, but was expelled from the Socialist Party in 1914 for supporting World War I. Again, socialists did not support World War I, and he did, so they kicked him out the party.
Whoops.
He turned sharply right for so he was mad. We've seen that before.
Big mad, bro.
He got kicked out of the Socialist Party and said, "All right, I'm gonna do some other shit.
I'm gonna take all your ideas and then I'm gonna join the races."
Right.
Yeah.
And this also, I always like to mention it because there's always this confusion, and we're gonna get more into this, obviously. But you as you mentioned, Dante associated socialism with or fascism with the left, and of course some people say, oh well, the Nazis were socialists.
National
blah, blah, blah.
socialism, that's what Nazi means.
Right. But as I go through this history, you'll see that all of the fascist movements were anti-socialist. And I've heard people try to say, well, Mussolini was a socialist. Okay, well, yeah, he was, but at first, but he literally got kicked out of the party.
Yep.
For supporting a capitalist war, and then went fascist. So it's just some important history.
Very important.
Initially, fascism combined ultranationalism, anti-socialism, and even more populist economic rhetoric, but its core concept was to violence against the left.
It's reactionary.
Yeah. Fascist squads, the black shirts, attacked union offices, socialist newspapers, and labor organizers.
That's the Proud Boys today.
Right. Liberal elites looked the other way or funded them directly. This is a quote, the industrialists preferred to pay the fascists than pay the workers.
Yeah.
That was an anti-fascist historian, Gaetano Salvemini.
It's an easy calculation.
Absolutely. Fascism didn't succeed because of mass support alone. Its success came when Italy's ruling class saw Mussolini as their savior. Northern industrialists like Agnelli of Fiat, y'all heard of Fiat, right? That owns Chrysler.
The little car.
Same Fiat. And landowners in the Po Valley financed fascist squads to break strikes and terrorize workers. The fascists were used as a paramilitary wing of capitalist restoration. And it's another quote, it is perfectly true that the middle class has supported fascism because it was menaced by a proletarian revolution. That's a quote from Luigi Sturzo, who's a Christian Democrat and anti-fascist.
So let's think about that quote real quick.
Yeah.
The middle class chose fascism because it's menaced by the proletarian revolution, which I guess is just socialism, Marxism. What does that mean? Like the proletarian, like is middle class like automatically petty bourgeoisie? Like what are they trying to say here? Does the middle are the middle class just afraid there's going to be no middle class under? I mean, class warfare does, from the leftists is abolishing classes. So I guess that's what it is. They get like, I like my way of life right now, in this middle class lifestyle.
Right.
And fascism allows me to keep that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, at least that's how that's how it was presented.
Whereas the leftists are like, we're trying to abolish class.
Right.
Who knows what that looks like?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to the extent, and I think that quote may be a little simplistic, but because my understanding is that, fascism in Germany never had like the same sort of broad-based support as it did in Germany. Did I say Germany?
You mean
Italian or Italy? So fascism in Italy didn't have the same broad-based support. I mean, there was still, and I think it was just because they had a more robust labor atmosphere and Communist Party, etc. But obviously, there were some, middle class people who were, I think, unsettled maybe by the thought of like a revolution happening, like a Bolshevik style revolution, who sided with, fascism.
That's what I'm trying to think of. So what would they be afraid of?
I mean, I guess the instability,
The
that's law and
uncertainty,
order.
because you don't know what that looks like.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why fascists always appeal to law and order.
Exactly. And that's why law and order protects that class. Like, if you look at it through that lens, the racist shit makes a lot more sense. Because you use that as a way to protect. You use the white nationalism to protect fucking the wealthy.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So by 1921 to 22, Mussolini moderated his rhetoric, dropped any mention of socialism, and became the preferred order restoring figure for the elites. There goes that word, order.
Restoring order.
Yep.
Law and order. Republicans used to always talk about that. It was a big deal with them.
I'm going to talk a little bit about how the parliament enabled fascism in Italy. Fascism was not imposed through violent overthrow of democracy. It was handed power by liberal politicians and the king. In October 1922, Mussolini staged the March on Rome, threatening a coup.
I wonder, real quick, if that's why. When was the Communist Manifesto? I guess it was before this. Mm-hmm. But it's another example of the powerful will never hand. Like, it will be a violent revolution. They will never hand over power. They handed over power to the fascists.
Absolutely.
Because that's not a real change.
It's not a threat. Yeah. It's not a threat to capital.
Yeah.
In reality, fascist squads were not strong enough to take power by force, but King Victor Emmanuel III refused to declare martial law despite his military advisors urging him to do so. Instead, the king invited Mussolini to form a government as prime minister. All right. Why? Liberals like Giovanni Giolitti and Antonio Salandra believed they could tame Mussolini and use him to suppress socialism. So there you go. They thought they could, control him. They made a
useful idiot.
You're right. They made a Faustian
bargain?
Bargain, yep. Tolerate fascism to destroy the left, assuming Mussolini would eventually fade or fall in line. And this is a quote from one of them. We must give the fascists some responsibility. Then they will become more moderate. Right. That's an interesting rationale there.
I mean, I've seen articles maybe not defending Hitler, but saying we kind of gotta wait to see how this is gonna turn out.
Right. Yeah.
Like when he was coming to power and when he got before the final solution.
Right.
Even American news outlets are some of them are like, oh, we're not gonna show. Again, like Henry Ford, Diggy pointed out, there was a lot of that shit in America, and they're like, maybe. Right. Maybe that's just he just had to do that, and he's gonna come back to the center.
Right. Exactly.
He's gonna pivot. Remember that was a big thing. Trump's gonna pivot.
Oh yeah.
There was a moment right when he got elected, everyone's like, he's got to pivot. He's got to pivot at some point.
When fucking Van Jones, after I think it was a State of the Union or something that Trump gave, and he's like, he became presidential tonight.
That was the pivot.
Yeah, that was the and I think Van Jones may have cried because he's always crying on TV for some reason. But yeah, I mean, I guess this is a liberal theme, unfortunately. So, all right, moving on. By the late 1920s and 1930s, Mussolini created the corporatist state, supposedly a third way between capitalism and socialism. In reality, workers lost their unions, strikes were banned, wages fell, industrialists kept their profits, while fascist ideology eliminated class struggle by decree. Liberal economists like Luigi Einaudi,
Free Luigi.
Not that kind of Luigi. Luigi, later president of Italy, and others were ambivalent or complicit, seeing fascism as a way to restore capitalist order. And this is a quote from one of these guys, Alfredo Rocco. Fascism is not reactionary. It is the solution to modern chaos. There you go.
That's interesting.
Right. So again, that law and order theme.
Order.
And so I wanted to talk a little bit about.
That's why they say the second Batman movie with the Joker was it was kind of right-wing propaganda, because Batman represents order while Joker represents anarchy. You know, sometimes you
Right.
got to spy on everybody to get the order. Like at the end, it's like, I trust you, Lucius. You'll destroy this right after this.
That was from which Batman?
That was the Joker one with Heath Ledger. That's how they find the Joker. It's because he had to spy on everybody. And Morgan Freeman's like, I'll quit if this exists. And he's like, I just got to use it this one time.
Right.
And then
right.
you can destroy it. But like, Batman represents order. Joker represents anarchy. There's
Right.
a lot of great clips of the Joker. And that's why I love that movie, because I like to highlight that shit. But yeah, it is kind of right-wing propaganda.
Yeah. And
Propaganda.
Bane was like a similar theme, right?
Yeah, Bane was like the revolutionary.
Right.
Yeah. And Batman had to restore order, man.
Right.
Don't ask him about why he's so rich and can't just fix things with his money.
All right, and then I also wanted to talk a little bit about. So obviously, I'm not gonna go into much more about Italy, but we know the story. World War II comes.
They got waxed.
Yeah, they did get waxed eventually, but before they got waxed, they did, do a little colonialism. So I wanted to touch on that because again, you can't separate these things. These things are tied to each other, aligned, and they always have been. Fascism also borrowed heavily from colonial logic. Italian elites had long practiced violence, racial hierarchy, and repression in Africa. Italy's wars in Eritrea, Libya, and later Ethiopia featured concentration camps, gas warfare, mass killings. These same techniques, terror squads, racial rhetoric, suppression of dissent, were applied inside Italy, especially to working class and minorities. And then, we...
Have you defined yet what he said fascism is? The creator of fascism?
No. I don't
Okay.
think so. I mean...
Because you said like they're intricately linked. And to me, I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, that makes sense, because fascism is, like you said, those other quotes about capitalism turning in on itself. Like you
Right.
have to, that's why World War II started, is because Germany had to invade its neighbors to keep propping up the economy. That's why you do colonialism.
Right.
Is to keep propping up your fascist economy that's failing, your late stage capitalist economy that's failing. That's how these things are intricately linked.
Exactly. All right, so I want to talk a little bit about the rise of Hitler, of course, one of the other big fascists that everybody knows.
Big H.
Also, post-World War II, or World War I, rather, after the collapse of German Empire in 1918, the Weimar Republic was established as a liberal democratic system. However, Germany
There's
was
some
in
leftists there.
economic chaos, facing massive reparations from the Treaty of Versailles, hyperinflation, and the threat of communism and revolution. The liberal center in the Weimar Republic was unwilling to align with the left or empower the working class in any meaningful way, fearing a communist revolution more than the rise of the far right. The SPD government, the social... What did the SPD mean? Social Party? Dang, I used to
Never
know
heard
that.
of
I
it.
forgot it. That was... I think they're still in power. I think they still have a...
In Germany?
Yeah. So I thought it was social democratic. It's probably German. That's why it doesn't make sense.
Oh, yeah, just so people know, Karl Marx was German. And Karl
Yeah.
Marx also said that he thought revolution would happen in Russia, not Germany, because Germany wasn't ready whenever he was alive. I can't remember.
Yeah, he thought it would either happen in either Germany or Britain, I think.
You mean Russia or Britain?
Wait, Marx?
I'm saying Marx said it. He didn't think it would happen in Germany. He thought it would happen in Russia, because like the things have
Thought
to
that
be
socialism
right.
would happen?
No, he's talking about revolution. Like the climate has to be right for revolution to happen. And he was saying Germany's not ready. Like our climate, even though he was the one that came up with like all of these socialist ideas.
Right.
He was like, Russia's in a better situation right now.
Are you sure? I don't
Yeah.
think that's right.
All right, I'll look it up.
Yeah, we gotta check that. It could be, but I thought it was...
Because I'm just trying to use that to illuminate that even though these were these ideas coming from Germany, even Karl Marx was like, we're not, as a people, ready for this. And that's how fascism was able to take hold. The Weimar Republic, it was liberal, but like it wasn't like radical leftist.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so the SDP was the Social Democratic Party. I don't know why
That's
I
what
can't
civil
remember that.
party it was. Yeah.
But I mean, they were the socialists, like probably one of the largest socialist parties.
Yeah, there was
in
a strain.
the 1900s. But
I'm just saying, most people be think it's weird that Marxism comes from Germany. Why did they end up literally the opposite?
Well, because capitalism. But I mean, my understanding, and I mean, we can look this up, but is that Marx thought that socialism would happen in the West because they had industrialized and they had a working class proletariat. So he figured it happening in a more advanced economy.
Yeah,
first.
he thought it would happen, but I'm just saying he thought like now, like whenever the Bolshevik Revolution happened, 1917.
Yeah.
He was like, they're ready for it. When are you talking about right now? When was the Weimar Republic?
I mean, we're talking about we're post World War I right now.
So early 30s,
Early 20s.
20s.
Yeah.
It's not that much. Not that much of a difference of a time frame. I'm just saying at that time he thought Russians are ready. We're not ready. And what you're talking about,
I mean,
the time frame we're
you're talking about
going.
Marx was dead, but at this point though, Marx is not even around.
When did Marx die?
Like 18 something, way before this.
1890. I'm gonna have to look it up.
Yeah, 1890 something.
All
I
right,
think.
maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, but I thought he made a comment that Russia is more prime for this because it's interesting to me that the ideas come from Germany and it never happened. It never was really a threat of like any real revolution happening there. Actually,
Yeah.
fascism, the biggest fucking opponent of that.
Yeah,
actually
but we
was-
got to remember in the 1800s. I mean, there was Germany did have a revolution. I mean, that's how the Social Democratic Party came into power. Obviously, it went, wrong. It went the wrong way after World War I because they got involved in World War I and they had colonies in Africa and et cetera, and they lost the war and all that. But at the time, I think, and I could be wrong about this, but I think Marx thought that it would happen there because it had one of the larger social democratic parties. That
Okay.
it got co-opted basically.
Right,
Just
right.
what happens, but
But continue.
yeah. Anyway, moving on.
Hey man, do you have a broom? I took my
So
shoe
the
off.
failure
I
of
threw it on
the
ground
Social
and,
Democratic
a whole
Party.
handful of dirt.
Okay, that's why. Because on here it says SPD, and it's
Thank you, I'm so sorry.
Oh,
I think it's because of the German.
it's because the way the words
yeah,
are.
it's backwards. Yeah,
Yep.
that's why it was throwing me off. Government not only failed to support the left, but actively collaborated with right-wing paramilitaries to suppress the uprising, culminating in the murder of Rosa Luxemburg, and Liebenbeck by Freikorps forces. Despite the growing threat of Nazi paramilitary groups, the Weimar government under SPD leadership took little action to prevent their rise. Meanwhile, left-wing parties, including communists, face intense repression. The SPD government criminalized left-wing protests and labor movements while largely ignoring or even enabling the growth of far-right militias like the Freikorps and the Stahlhelm, which were precursors to Hitler's brown shirts.
Which were like equivalent Mussolini's black shirts,
All right.
which are the Proud Boys.
By the early 1930s, the Nazi Party led by Adolf Hitler was gaining significant electoral support, fueled by economic distress and fears of communism. Hitler's ideology promised to restore order. There we go. Protect capital and combat the
Law
left.
and order.
There we go. Amid the Great Depression, President Hindenburg and his conservative allies sought to maintain control instead of uniting against the fascists. The liberal and the centrist parties saw Hitler as a potential ally to maintain the capitalist order. The chancellor from the Catholic Center Party ruled by decree using Article 48 of the Weimar Constitution. And this was a key moment in which liberal governance was replaced with emergency rule, opening the door to authoritarian control.
Not emergency orders. Interesting.
In an attempt to stabilize the government, Hindenburg appointed Hitler as chancellor, believing that he could be controlled. There we go again. They can control the fascists. And Franz von Papen, a former chancellor and a conservative politician, was instrumental in convincing.
I mean, they don't really have another option.
Yeah, that's
Try to control the fascists or
or
let the public go the opposite way and destroy you.
let the revolution come.
Yeah.
Hindenburg, Chancellor, Franz von Papen, former Chancellor and conservative politician, was instrumental in convincing Hindenburg that Hitler could be managed. The liberals, hoping to contain Hitler, believed they could use him for their own purposes without realizing that Hitler's ultimate goal was to dismantle democracy altogether. He kept that on the hush.
Oof.
After the Reichstag fire in February 1933, which the Nazis used to justify suspending civil liberties, the Enabling Act was passed, giving Hitler the power to enact laws without Reichstag's
It was
approval.
called the Enabling Act.
Yeah, I didn't know that until I was doing this.
All right.
Yeah. Failure of the liberalism. While the SPD voted against it, liberal and centrist parties like the Zentrum and the DVP voted for the Enabling Act, effectively legitimizing Hitler's dictatorial rule. So, I don't know. I should have dug a little more into that because I'm really interested what their rationale was.
The centrist of the SPD?
No, the SPD actually voted against it, but there was other parties.
Oh, those other two that you just said.
Yeah, Zentrum and DVP voted, and those were like liberal centrist parties. You know, they were, I guess, to the right of the SPD, but not Hitler, right? But
They
there you go.
fear fucking...
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only thing that makes sense. Bunch of Donnie Deutsches.
Yep. The liberal elites, fearing chaos and communist uprisings, failed to understand the full implications of supporting Hitler, enabling him to create a fascist dictatorship. All right, so that's pretty much it for Hitler. You know what happened. He gets to power and kills a lot of people.
We don't know what happened from here.
Holocaust.
Genocide.
And so I'm not going to cover all that, but I did want to also talk about some of the colonial inspirations. So, and a lot of people don't know this history, so I think it's important to cover that there was a genocide in German Southwest Africa between 1904 and 1908. This was a German colony
In South Africa.
Yeah, Southwest Africa. It was called the German Southwest Africa. That's literally what they named it. Not very original.
Okay.
But it's now what's considered Namibia.
Okay, gotcha.
So, but this genocide is often considered the first genocide in the 20th century and a direct precursor to Nazi racial policy. Between 1904 and 1908, under the General Lothar von Trotha, Germany brutally crushed a rebellion by the Herero and Nama people in its colony. Von Trotha issued an extermination order. This is a quote, "The Herero people must leave the land. If they do not, I will force them with the long arm of the German Empire. Any Herero found within Germany territory, armed or unarmed, will be shot."
What's that sound like, bro? Rhymes with Mimi.
What?
BB.
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
Gazans, you have to leave?
Right.
We can call it whatever we want.
Right.
Yeah. This is genocide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So tens of thousands were driven into the Namib Desert to die of thirst. Others were imprisoned in concentration camps like Shark Island, where prisoners were worked to
Shark
death.
Island?
Yeah, Shark Island.
Shit, that's where we got
Alligator
the idea.
Alcatraz.
That's where he got the fucking idea. God damn it. Someone stop telling him about this shit.
Yeah, so there we go. And let's see. Hitler and Nazi theorists were aware of these colonial practices, as historian Jürgen Zimmer wrote.
Of course it was Zimmer.
Yeah, I think it's Zimmerer wrote. There is a straight line from the late 19th century colonial genocide in Africa to the Holocaust. German Southwest Africa was a testing ground for methods later used in Europe. Zimmerer and Michael Mann both argued that German settlers saw racial extermination as a legitimate tool of empire, and this dehumanization of black Africans helped normalize genocide in German strategic thinking. The use of concentration camps, pseudo-scientific race studies, etc., and notions of racial cleansing directly influenced the Nazis' methods. So there you go. And then
Dry
also
run, test run.
exactly. And then also, of course, well, I shouldn't say of course because a lot of people don't know this, but Hitler drew inspiration from America because America is a settler colonial society as well.
I mean, we did a pretty good genocide.
We did. We did one of the biggest genocides.
How many Native Americans you know?
Not a lot.
I don't know any. I mean, there was one kid named Shane.
You're thinking of the second kid.
That's
Shane
so
McDonald.
fucking funny. Goddamn right.
That was it. Dang.
Yep. With a fucking colonizer name. That's not his name.
I remember that kid. I wonder where he's at.
Yeah, me too.
Let's see. Hitler was fascinated by how the United States expanded westward and displaced or exterminated indigenous peoples to secure what they call Lebensraum, which means living space in German.
Okay.
A concept central to Nazi ideology. This is a quote.
I'm seeing a lot of parallels here.
Right. The American Union itself has opened up enormous spaces for its population by decimating the native inhabitants. Adolf Hitler, 1928. In Mein Kampf, Hitler praised the U.S. for its racial purity laws and territorial conquest. The racially
Jim
pure
Crow.
and still unmixed Germans has risen to the mastery of the world. It is not by mere chance that the American Union sees its population increase more rapidly than that of any European state. He admired how Americans used violence and racial policy to expand their territory. For Hitler, the U.S. conquest of the West was a model for Nazi expansion into Eastern Europe, especially the Ukraine, which he imagined as Germany's breadbasket, just as the U.S. used the Midwest. Hitler saw the United States as the one state that had made racial ideology work in practice. That's a quote from that's historian Timothy Snyder. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to talk a little bit about his inspiration from Jim Crow, U.S. racial law as a blueprint. When the Nazis sat down to draft the Nuremberg laws in 1935, which institutionalized racial discrimination against the Jews, they studied American racial legislation. Their legal scholars especially focused on the one-drop rule.
One drop of blood.
Right. Anti-miscegenation laws, which is like intermarriage. I had to look up that term because I wasn't familiar with it.
I thought it was going to be misogyny related.
No,
Okay.
yeah, miscegenation. Racial segregation codes, citizenship restrictions based on race. As James Q. Whitman explains in his book, Hitler's American model, in the early 1930s, the U.S. was not a country with racist practices. It was a leading racist state in the world. The Nazis took a real inspiration from it. The U.S. Immigration Act of 1924, which set quotas based on racial hierarchy, was admired by Hitler as a model of preserving Aryan purity. So, there you go. Hitler was inspired by the good old United States.
I wonder why our shit was never called apartheid.
Yeah, I think. Well, apartheid's it's a Dutch word.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So it makes more sense.
it means apartness.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because it was the same thing.
right. It was
All right.
effectively, functionally. All right. I also wanted to talk a little bit about it wasn't just Italy and Germany that were fascist or fascist adjacent, if you will. Spain's Franco's fascist regime came to power in a U.S.-backed civil war inspired by Mussolini and Hitler. Portugal's Salazar Estado Novo's dictatorship, corporatist and nationalist mirrored fascist ideology. There was a movement called the Lapua movement. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. In Finland, which was far right and violently anti-communist that gained ground in the 1930s. Sweden had a eugenics policy and Nazi sympathizers that existed despite neutrality. And there's a nationalist authoritarian movements existed in Poland before German invasion. So a lot of right-wing politics and authoritarian and fascist adjacent stuff was going on in Europe. It wasn't just Hitler and Mussolini.
That's where the Poland shit comes from.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then also, I want to talk a little bit about Japan because I think Japan sometimes gets a pass for whatever reason. Probably because I don't know, they're Asian.
What, the imperialism?
Yeah.
We just don't think about it.
Yeah. So Japan had a like a militaristic, ultra-nationalist regime with the cult of emperor worship and totalitarian control. While it lacked a mass fascist party like Mussolini or Hitler's, scholars argue it was functionally fascist in practice. Japan suspended democracy, crushed unions and leftist parties, and pursued an aggressive imperial project.
That's why we had to bomb them. Had to do it.
Brutal colonization of Korea, Taiwan, Manchuria, the Philippines, and parts of Southeast Asia, including Indonesia, which is not here. I don't know why. Conducted mass killings, forced labor, medical experimentation, sexual slavery, comfort women. That was in Korea.
Comfort?
Yeah, they called them comfort women, but they were
Okay.
basically sex slaves.
Yeah.
Japan modeled aspects of European colonialism justified through racial superiority and civilizing. I'm using quotes. Civilizing nations. That's what they. That's a lot of time when you
Got to civilize the savages.
yeah, you hear about that in regards to like African colonization. Like they gotta go there because these beastly burdens. They don't know what they're doing. They can't govern themselves.
Beast and bird.
Yeah.
Yep. Same thing we said about the Native Americans.
Yep.
Yep.
And yeah, that was pretty much it. I did want to just cover Japan a little bit because I feel like they did colonize a lot of land. People don't realize
So
that.
did Portugal for some reason.
Yeah, Portugal did.
This little fucking country off
Right.
the coast of Spain colonized Brazil. Like, I don't know. A lot of South America. It's wild.
All right.
I think it's because they had a navy.
And then they also had 3 colonies in Africa,
Yeah, see? What the fuck?
Angola, and I forget the other one, Mozambique, and then Guinea-Bissau. So
Nice.
yeah. All right. So and then I wanted to talk a little bit about what happened post like World War II. All right. So we know most people understand like World War II. You had the Axis, Allies. The fascists on one side. The Americans and Brits, and the Soviets on the other.
Good guys, bad guys.
Right. All right. People understand that. So, post World War II, after we defeated the fascism, I'm using air quotes again. This is what happened. So, after the defeat of Nazi Germany and fascist Italy in World War II, one might assume fascism was decisively crushed, but the truth is far murkier. Fascism didn't vanish; it adapted, migrated, and critically was often protected and weaponized by very Western powers that claim to have defeated it.
I mean, it's the same thing with fucking the Confederacy. Yeah, they lost.
Right.
Jim Crow happened immediately after.
Exactly. That's a good
good
parallel.
analogy.
Right? Yeah,
Yep.
good analogy. Yeah, for sure. After World War II, NATO and the CIA launched Operation Gladio. Have you ever heard of Operation Gladio?
I have not.
Okay. I actually hadn't heard of it until like a couple of years ago. And I have a documentary on my Plex that I've been meaning to watch, and I still haven't watched it.
Word.
But it was a covert program of stay-behind armies across Europe, supposedly designed to resist a potential Soviet invasion. But in reality, these networks were used to suppress leftist movements and prop up reactionary forces. In Italy, the Gladio network included fascist operatives who orchestrated bombings and assassinations in what became known as the strategy of tension. The goal was to blame the violence on communists and justify repression. Former fascists were often key participants in these networks, as Italian Prime Minister Giulio Andreotti eventually admitted in 1990. The structure truly existed and had been organized with the help of the CIA. So, there you go. We continue to support fascists in order to repress and suppress leftist movements, and the CIA, of course, was involved, as they usually are. And
Because
then,
again,
what's that?
I don't know. Just want to reframe again. Right wing, left wing.
Right.
They are cool with fascism because it's extreme right wing, as long as it is in opposition to anything left.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. Have you ever heard of the rat lines?
That's how the Nazis got to South America. Yeah.
Yep, the damn rat lines. That's an interesting name. Ooh, I wanted
is.
to point that and look that up.
I think it's because when a ship sinks, rats like get out first. Like you can tell, like, oh shit, the ship is sinking.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That makes
Yeah.
sense. There we go. The rat lines. Okay. As fascist regimes fell in Europe, thousands of Nazis, officials, war criminals, and collaborators escaped justice through the rat lines, a series of clandestine escape routes facilitated by the Vatican, Western intelligence agencies, and
The
the Red
Vatican,
Cross.
Catholics, just so y'all know.
Yes. That is
That's how they ended up in
There's
South
a secret
America.
passageway to escape the Vatican in times of threat. The Passetto del Borgo is a
What is
secret
that?
corridor that leads.
Thanks, Siri. I don't know.
Siri just listening to me. The Catholics.
Why did you say?
That's crazy, Siri. The Catholics had a lot of, I don't know, South Americans, because they were conquered and colonized by Catholics in Spain and shit. That's why the Nazis ended up there, because the Catholics were the one helping them. It's not that they couldn't really send them to like fucking Japan or anything. That's
Right.
why people are like, well, how did they end up in fucking Brazil? That's why. Catholicism.
Here's some info about Brazil.
Bitch, stop listening to me.
Don't say her name.
I didn't, did I?
Yeah, you did say it again
All right.
before you went into that. All right. So yeah, but yeah, a lot of Nazis and fascists escaped.
I think you also had Operation Paperclip.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk about that a little bit. Or
Okay.
Did I have that there? I can't remember if I had that. Adolf Eichmann, architect of the Holocaust, fled to Argentina and lived freely until Mossad agents captured him in 1960.
Often. They captured him, I thought they killed him.
I think he died eventually. I think they may have brought him back to Israel and tried him and then
Killed him
killed
out of that. Mossad tracked like all the top dogs down in South America.
Yeah,
Killed
they
them.
were trying to find
Yeah.
Nazis,
Yeah.
only to become them. All right,
Yeah.
the Klaus Barbie, the butcher of Lyon, found refuge in Bolivia, where he later advised military regimes on torture techniques.
The Butcher is a good name. Lines up with this guy.
Ante Pavelic, a leader of Croatia's fascist Ustaše regime, escaped to Argentina with the help of the Vatican. So yeah, a lot of Nazis went to South America in particular. During the Cold War, the U.S. supported a wave of far-right military dictatorships across Latin America under the guise of fighting communism. This came to head with Operation Condor, a coordinated intelligence operation between South American dictatorships with CIA support to eliminate leftist dissidents. Augusto Pinochet overthrew
Chile.
Yes, it's in Chile. Overthrew democratic elected socialist leader Salvador Allende in 1973, backed by the CIA. His regime tortured and murdered thousands. Pinochet admired Mussolini and modeled aspects of his corporatist state on fascist principles. Economist Milton Friedman and the Chicago Boys provided economic blueprints for neoliberal authoritarianism and a modern capitalist form of fascism. So, there go the
Chicago School of Economics. There's,
helping out the fascists.
Yep.
And between 1964 and 1985, Brazil had a military dictatorship. A lot of people don't know that. It was backed by the U.S. The Brazil's junta tortured union leaders, students, and leftists. Its ideology was nationalistic and anti-communist and repressive. The regime gave safe harbor to Nazis like Franz Stengel, commandant of Sobibor in the Treblinka death camps. And through 1976 to 1983, Argentina's Jorge Videla junta carried out the dirty war, abducted and killed tens of thousands. Many children dissidents were taken and raised by regime loyalists. Former Nazis worked as intelligence advisors as well. So you had a lot of Nazis not only like settling and just like living out their lives,
Actively bringing their skills.
to right-wing regimes and fascist-adjacent regimes in Latin America. And a lot of this was with the help of the United States, obviously, and the CIA in particular.
Yep.
And then also, post World War II, a lot of the Japanese occupations between 1942 and 1945 of Indonesia suppressed Dutch colonial rule, but also left behind fascist-trained militarists. This laid the foundation of Suharto's 1965 coup, in which over 500 million suspected leftists were massacred with U.S. and British support. And declassified documents confirmed that the CIA provided kill lists to the Indonesian army. So we continue to support fascism in Indonesia, and the reason a lot of the
kill,
right, and the reason a lot of these sort of again these fascists were already in place were because of Japan's fascist occupation of Indonesia and much of
which is also an imperialist state. Which again, these things are linked.
Exactly. Operation Paperclip. As World War II ended, the U.S. quietly brought over 1,600 Nazi scientists through Operation Paperclip, despite their war crimes. Werner von Braun, who used forced labor, who used forced labor to build V-2 rockets, became a key figure in NASA's Apollo program. Nazi scientists were also absorbed into CIA military intelligence.
Nazis had some really good rockets.
And even chemical and biological warfare programs. So we use Nazis to go to the moon. Well, go to the moon, but also in the Cold War. I mean, that's the reason we recruited them and was to fight socialism.
Yeah, because we don't want them going to Soviet country.
You guys see a theme here? Nazis, fascism. It's not socialist. It's always
killing the socialists.
It's always killing the socialists. They are literally the antithesis.
Yes. That's why Antifa is anti-fascist, which is socialists and anarchists who put their little petty squabbles aside because they're left.
Right.
And fascists are not.
Absolutely. And then I did also want to just quote a few, because I did mention like Milton Friedman and the Chicago Boys, how they were advising Pinochet's government in his economic policies. There's obviously an alignment with right-wing economics and fascists for obvious reasons, because it's very deferential to power and corporate consolidation, and of course they use like terms like free market, but they mean free for consolidation and monopoly capital. That's what they mean.
Yes.
But there's some quotes for some libertarians. Friedrich Hayek praised Pinochet's Chile for implementing free market reforms. Ludwig von Mises stated that fascism had saved Europe from communism. And the Austrian school often prioritized anti-communism over democracy. So the Austrian school is like the libertarian school of economics.
Yep, Hayekianism, yep.
All right. This is another quote from Hayek. A dictatorship may be necessary where liberty has been extinguished. It's interesting.
This is important because American right is like, we are for freedom and democracy.
Right.
We're not.
Yeah.
Your guy right there, the fucking king of liberal economics, Hayek. Libertarian economics, which is essentially what the Republicans are now, economically. It's like, how more free market can we get? They prioritize dictatorship. It's not about democracy. It's never been about democracy.
Never. And if they have to pick, they'll pick a dictatorship over a socialism every time. A right-wing dictatorship.
And they have.
Right.
Like you just pointed out multiple times.
Yeah. There's a history here. That's why I get frustrated with libertarians. It's like, because a lot of them are well intentioned, obviously, but
Or that anarcho-capitalist I met.
oh god, but obviously they're I don't know. They stop thinking at
Like
some
you reach
point.
a level.
Yeah, I don't know.
But to me, they're just like contrarians that they're cool with labels, and their label is American libertarianism.
right.
What's her name? Ayn Rand defined it for them.
There you go.
Yeah. It's not like they're thinking that much more.
Yeah, I mean, look, we dabbled
Because
in
we were
libertarianism.
contrarian.
Yeah, is that what it was?
I think so.
Okay.
At least for me. That played a big role. Contrarianism and religion, because I was
don't know,
atheist.
Yeah, I think that. Well, yeah, it was.
And I thought that, if people didn't believe in religion, like that was the cause of all of our problems.
Yeah. I don't know.
Then I became libertarian.
Yeah. I was just trying to figure. I didn't know what I was, and I was interested in libertarianism because I was just trying to figure out what I believed. And libertarians at the time,
They have a great pitch.
Yeah.
We're not the left. We're not the right. We're cool with weed. We're cool with gay people.
yeah, and I remember like in 2008, that's when Rand Paul ran,
Yes.
and this kind of goes to the conversation we were having earlier with
Yep.
Van. Is like
Which you guys will hear later.
Rand Paul. Oh, no, did I say Ron Paul?
Rand Paul, the
Rand Paul's dad.
original Paul.
Yeah, the OG Paul.
Rand Paul's trash.
He was like one of the few people, because he ran in 2008 for the in the Republican ticket. He was one of the few out of any field, Democrat or Republican, who was saying we need to stop
He was good on
spending money
foreign
on
policy.
wars.
Yep.
Yeah. And also, he was like critical of the Federal Reserve. Like he wanted to audit the
Yes.
Fed.
Audit the Fed, baby.
Yeah.
Big
Yeah.
thing.
And then at the time, this was around the same time, we had watched like the Zeitgeist
Zeitgeist,
film.
yeah.
And they were like talking about the fractional reserve banking and all
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And like we were kind of in conspiracy theories too. So it's like,
Well, that part is true, though.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. But it's a conspiracy theorist, but it's a true conspiracy about
Yeah. There was also conspiracies in that movie that are not true.
yeah, true. But I was like, oh, he's the only one talking about the central bank,
Yeah.
as well. And so I
Why
was
would we get rid of the gold standard?
right? Yeah, exactly. So all those things, I was like, okay, I can maybe get down with libertarianism, but and then like during the debate, like they asked him a question about like, what are you gonna do if like somebody has, if somebody gets hit by a bus and you
Yeah.
don't have insurance, and he was like, somebody help.
He said, someone in the community.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, what if they don't? He's like, well, they die.
Yeah.
Which is the extreme. Again, Ayn Rand, why it was appealing to me, because the core of it, like one of her early philosophy books, is like, hey, if you're on an island, it's just you and one other guy. This guy like gets coconuts, and you just like steal his coconuts all the time. That's making you
Right.
dependent on that guy. If he dies, you don't know how to get the coconuts. And I'm like, fucking, that's genius. But then when you like scale it up to society, it ends up with, well, I guess you just let people die.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Because no, you shouldn't model your fucking society off that crazy hyper individualism.
Right. Absolutely.
But it also makes you line up with anti-imperialism sometimes.
Exactly.
The Venn diagram overlaps.
Yeah. All right. So I guess we want to go ahead and get close to wrapping up. I only have a few more things I want to cover.
Better be Israel.
Dang, it is Israel. So I wanted to talk about like sort of contemporary
Fascism.
fascism. Yeah. So, fascism today hides behind democracy, but its core remains. We have some fascism going on in Ukraine. You have the Azov Battalion, which is like a right-wing
Straight up
nationalist
Nazi battalion.
Yeah, they're like neo-Nazis, and they have like Nazi insignia on their
Yes.
uniforms and what have you. And the United States is supporting them. Now, initially we actually had banned aid to the Azov
We
Battalion. and
labeled
those
them
groups.
as like extremist organization or some shit.
Right. This was early on in like the I think like the 2014 area, like right after the coup and stuff. Like they
Right.
after the no, I'm talking about the coup, the Ukrainian coup, where we supported the overthrow of their president. And then a kind of a civil war broke out, and then there was a bill in the House that passed, I think, to block aid to the Azov Battalion, because we rightfully recognize that these people are neo-Nazis, right?
Yeah, proudly.
All right. But obviously, after Russia invaded Ukraine, we said,
Became Donnie Deutsches.
we said, hey, well, I guess we gotta support these fascists. I mean, you kind of were already supporting them anyway. I mean, you overthrew the government with the understanding that these people were waiting in the wings to swing into
Yeah,
into
you
power.
created the power vacuum. That,
Right.
Yeah.
So there's that, and then there, of course, is Israel, which is a settler colonial society, just like the United States. There it goes colonialism again.
Whatever, Candace Owens.
Right. And we have continued to support this genocide. We're almost 2 years into a genocide. And we're supporting them by giving them aid, military aid, offensive weapons, and defensive weapons. Not that it matters. We shouldn't be giving them shit for people who want to make stupid votes based on that. AOC and other progressives, not just AOC. There was only 6 Democrats who voted to blockade to Israel, which is crazy.
It was aid to defend themselves, Brent. I don't know if you understand this.
Yeah, so
Not to attack. That was AOC's justification.
And I want to quote Itamar Ben-Gvir. He is a high-ranking official
He's a Nazi.
in the Netanyahu government.
Israel's right wing.
Israel's government.
Yeah.
This is a quote from him. You guys ready? You ready?
Go.
I am a fascist.
Believe people.
End quote.
Believe people when they say these things, guys.
All right, so we are literally supporting a settler colonial society that is genociding people.
I had a bar in a recent song. I said, "Are Jewish settlements all right because anti-Semitism exists?" There's settlements still to this day.
Yeah,
We allow it.
yeah, and
We
they're-
give them money and say it's just for them to defend themselves as they create settlements and expand.
exactly. Yep. And
Okay, AOC.
and they're expanding. It's getting. My understanding is like the settlers are being a lot more violent and aggressive, obviously, because they.
Now's the time.
It's now. I think they kind of understand. Like, look, we're not going to get another chance of like this again. We gotta go as far as we can, which is very scary.
They're seeing what BB is doing and how he's talking and how he's kind of backed himself into a corner politically, because a lot of people are hoping that the Israeli government was just try BB for war crimes or some shit, get him out of there, and everything will just go back to how it was before October 7th, 6th, 7th?
Right.
October 7th. And but even if so, the settlers are like, well, BB is backed into a corner. He's going all out.
Yeah.
So they're going all out.
Absolutely. They feel like they have the green light. So
They do. They've
And they
wiped
do, yeah.
out their fucking ops right now.
right. Absolutely.
Now genocide is literally the final solution here.
Yeah. So I just wanted to highlight, like, if you're supporting people who are saying they're fascists, what does that
Believe
make
them.
you? No,
Yes.
but what does that
Well,
make
that's
your
true. Yeah,
country?
exactly.
So, like, fascism is here. We're supporting genocide. We're supporting governments and militaries that are killing people, murdering people.
Starving them to death.
Absolutely. And they're saying what they are. They're fascists. So that makes us fascists too. Not us personally, but our government
America.
is supporting fascists.
If you're waiting for Trump to be what Ben can never come out and say it like that, he won't. But
All right.
we are.
Right.
Go to the Holocaust Museum. They have like 10 signs of fascism.
Yeah.
We checked every one.
Yep. Now, some people will say, well, we are not full-blown fascists, and there's a spectrum. I mean, that's fair. I mean, I don't want to get overly pedantic about it, but
Yeah, because it's not white nationalism is an official policy.
Right.
Yes.
right.
But if that's not, that's it. Like
Right.
that's the end goal. Trump's not leaving. That goal will be reached.
Absolutely. And I just think it's important I think what we should take away from this is that we shouldn't be surprised. That's why I went through this history.
Right.
If you know the history, this isn't surprising. This isn't an aberration. This is continuity. You know, it shouldn't surprise you that a settler colonial state that genocided its indigenous population is supporting another settler colonial state that's currently genociding its population. Right?
Yeah.
So, you know, we have to be able to tie these threads together and make sure that we understand that these movements, these right-wing movements are, one, they're incredibly organized. All right. They're internationalists as well. And if we want to fight against these movements, we have to organize and we have to be internationalists as well. We have to think globally, act locally. That's what Huey P. Newton said.
Yeah, act locally, think globally.
Yeah. So I think I said it backwards, but yeah, you got it. But I think that's what I want people to take away from this is that the world is changing. You know, and a lot of the what we're seeing with like the rise of BRICS, the U.S. empire is using these right wing and fascist movements in order to try to keep its empire as well. I think that's important to understand.
To counteract BRICS.
Absolutely. So, you know, it's using Nazis in Ukraine to have a proxy war with Russia.
And there's a really good podcast called Behind the Bastards. I can't remember the main guy's name, but he wrote a whole book called It Could Happen Here. And it's just about fascism happening in America because he thinks the same way. Say, look, guys, this is history. This is what happens.
Right.
If you look, that's what Brian Becker was saying. His whole thing that I watched the other day at the PSL, shout out PSL, is capitalism, war, and just how these cycles happen. And it started where you started with World War I. And like, yeah, of course it would be weird if we weren't fascist.
Right.
It makes more sense that, this is where we are. Of course, it's where we are.
This is where we are. Absolutely. So,
but hopefully, if we can educate people in optimistic world, Bill Burr just needs that last step of education, and it's not a choice. People will start talking the right way,
right,
and then we can shift public opinion.
Yeah, that's the idea. And you know, also, like I said, that we don't know what's going to happen with the United States. You know, I personally don't think it's going to be able to stop its decline unless it like goes like full nuclear or something like that. I mean, which is a scary possibility as well. Mm-hmm. But if things continue on this trajectory, I think the United States will decline economically, and the fascism will become more intense because they're going to have to resolve those contradictions internally and repress its own society. That's when fascism really
turns inwards.
It turns inwards, yeah.
Or the colonialism turns inward.
Right.
At the very least, even if the world, like we were talking about last episode, has to prop us up economically, the intensity of the fascism is going to get bad here.
Right. As the empire declines.
Yes.
And it's because
the empire will decline.
Right.
But even if it doesn't, it's not going to take like full civil war. America doesn't have to break out into civil war for it to be super bad fascist here.
Right.
Which I think that's probably what will happen. I don't think we will break out in a civil war. I think we'll just become a fascist state. We'll crack down. There will probably be some leftist, militaristic organizations, like pockets, that will be labeled as terrorists. But like, right. I don't see it breaking down like the movie Civil War. Like some states would. No, I don't think so. I think we're all in.
Yeah, I don't know what to think. I just know people gotta organize, and the reason that, again, I just want to stress, the reason that fascism is coming here It's always been here, but the reason why we're seeing it sort of manifest itself in a more, obvious way is because the empire is in decline.
It's late stage capitalism.
This is why the tariffs are a thing. This is the ruling class. It's
Last gasps.
it's an attempt to maintain its hegemony and its power. And as long as the decline is happening, it's going to intensify here. Unfortunately, I think so. People have to be ready for that, but also people got to understand like was probably inevitable. Unfortunately, this is what Marxists understand about the contradictions of capitalism. Yeah.
Yeah, and why violent revolution is impossible, because they will side with fascism before they give it to the left.
All right.
One last thing before we wrap up. Do you want to play this clip? Talk about it?
Oh, yeah. I forgot about the clips. We can play that.
Set it up real quick while I pull it up.
Oh, it's just it's George Carlin.
My dude.
Rest in peace. One of the last good comics who would have
critical of America.
Yeah.
On some
Good
real shit.
social, political commentary type style comics.
All right, let's
Bill
play.
Burr's trying to take that space a little bit though.
Yeah, I was listening to this shit real quick.
War is rich old men protecting their property by sending middle class and lower class young men off to die. It always has been. It's all about owning things. All of this back and forth and debate implies that there are really choices in this country, that we really have choices, freedom of choice.
It's
an
an all-volunteer
illusion.
army.
Americans are made they're having trouble filling the slots in this all-volunteer army. I wonder why.
So raise the pay of the military.
Listen, let me say one thing about choice. There is no real choice. They say freedom of choice. You're given an illusion of choice. Americans are meant to feel free by the exercise of meaningless choices. You don't have, what the choices are in this country? Paper or plastic, aisle or window, smoking or non-smoking. Those are your real choices. You don't get to choose anything.
Facts.
Oh dang, that wasn't even a clip.
That wasn't the right clip? You sent me the wrong clip?
I guess so. I thought that was that's from politically incorrect.
Yeah. That's when you sent me on Signal.
Oh yeah, dang, I didn't watch it.
All right, tie that into fascism. Go.
Yeah, I wasn't prepared for that.
Look, I could talk about the illusion of choice because there's a great TED talk about what is it called? The paradox of choice.
Yeah.
I can't remember the guy's name, but he talks about how too much choice is actually paralyzing, and it's actually better when you have fewer choices. Unfortunately, I think this is what fucking Tucker Carlson was kind of alluding to when he went to Russia's supermarket and was like, yeah, there's not 50 cheeses, but like all the vegetables that you need are here and they're cheap. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think he was more
I know he
surprised.
was talking about like you have an illusion of choice, left
Right.
and right. But the choice thing is part of the American propaganda. And we're spreading democracy, freedom, choice. You don't want to have a dictator. I remember when I was a child and I asked my mom what communism was, and she was like, you don't get to pick your job or where you live, because that's what it is to them.
Right.
America is freedom and choices.
Right.
Socialism, communism is dictatorship, no choices. Everybody wears the same clothes. It's literally that fucking simple.
Yeah, that's what they want you to believe anyway.
Yeah, but George Carlin then says, well, in America, we just have left and right, which is the same choice, because he's not talking about the real left.
Right.
But criticizing the right people, just like Bill Burr, the anger is in the right direction. But yeah, man.
I'm just gonna read
What's that?
George Carlin's quote.
All right.
This isn't the full quote, so I'm gonna paraphrase some of it. It says, "When fascism comes to America, it will not be in brown and black shirts. It will be
McDonald's logos.
It will not be in brown and black shirts. It will not be in jack boots. It will be in Nike sneakers and
heard this.
smiley shirts. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was on the Bill Maher show. But I
Okay.
thought that was the clip, but no, this wasn't.
But yeah.
But and then he also said, fascism, or he said, the Nazis lost World War II, but fascism won it. That's also
That's a good
from him.
quote.
Yeah.
That's a real good quote.
And you know, when I heard that, I remember hearing that at the time, or maybe shortly after, years ago. You know, watching Bill Maher or whatever, and I didn't really have an appreciation for what he meant until later, until I really understood.
And if you think about it, that was the one time they paired with the left because their shit got too out of control.
Right.
The Soviets won World War II.
Yes.
It's just what happened.
Absolutely. They lost 25 million people. They did most of the fighting. I think 80% of the Nazi deaths were
Brian
from
Becker
Soviet.
says that America opened up the Western Front because if they just let shit play out on
They
the
were afraid
Eastern
of the
Front,
Soviets going too far. That's
well,
why.
the Soviets win, and then their ideas spread throughout Europe. The
Right.
Western Front was not about Germany.
Yeah. It was about keeping Soviets out. That's
Yeah.
the same thing with. That's why we bombed Japan. Was to say, hey, yo, first of all, so you know, Stalin, we got a nuclear weapon, just so you know.
We got it,
also,
and we'll use it.
Yeah, we'll use it, and also don't come here. Like
Yeah.
we got Japan.
This is ours.
This
Claiming
is ours.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know they're on your side.
Right.
Or no, they're on the Nazi side.
Right.
So it's up for grabs. It's not.
Right.
Yeah, it's ours.
Yeah, I mean, at the time, you know, the Soviet Union was was going to go to Japan. It was going to go all the way because they went through Manchuria, I think, already. And that took over.
Brian Becker makes this great point in this fucking whole thing that I watched at PSL, shout out PSL, where he was saying the Soviets took a position of halt and like, we're not trying to expand.
Right.
The way our American propaganda is, oh, they were trying to expand into Korea. They're trying to expand into no. They literally like, look, I understand it would look bad. The Americans would probably think we're trying to expand.
Right.
They literally stopped, and we're not doing that. It was the Americans that opened up all of these fronts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a history that also is not very much well known. They agreed to pull out of was it there was a
Like, you know what? Every time they said we were trying to stop the spread of communism, Korea was already communist.
yeah
Vietnam was already coming.
Yeah.
It's not like it was spreading and we had to fucking jump in there and stop the shit. That's what I mean.
yeah. I
So
mean,
it wasn't like Sylvia was like, keep going. They're like,
Right.
no, we know how this will look. So we literally will not do it. And America was like, oh, they're still doing it.
yeah. I mean, this is something that's not very well understood. I know we're going along here, but I just want to make this point. Like the Soviet Union, and then we could do a whole episode on this.
Yeah.
After the World War II, was actually trying to find some sort of working ground,
They wanted
compromise
a
with-
multipolar world is all they wanted.
Yeah, they did. They weren't going because I mean this is after Stalin dies in like 50 something. Khrushchev takes power.
Superman killed him.
Khrushchev is definitely was a lot less like internationalist as well than Stalin. And Stalin wasn't even like again. They were willing to make compromises with the West. They didn't want to antagonize the West. They wanted to
Exactly,
try to
that's the
find
point.
ways to work with the West. And
We
actually,
antagonized all of it.
there's a lot of criticism on the left of Stalin and the Soviet Union because that they think it was a little bit, too amicable, I guess you could say, to the interests of the West at times.
Literally, they like were providing lifelines to Cuba just so they could survive. And we were like, no.
Right.
That's too much.
Yeah.
So again, they weren't trying to be like, hey, Cuba, be like us.
All right.
They're like, the West has cut you off from the world. I guess you want to keep living?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's pretty much it, guys. We
We should wrap it up.
yeah, we went long, but you guys get it. This could be-
Second half of this show, the fun half. This is going to be a long ass episode.
I mean, we might have to break it up into like two drops.
We might as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, my brother Van interview. coming soon, and it touches on a lot of this. And I think it's going to be very good for people that are on, I don't want to say on his level, but think, they're not, they've never looked into this shit before.
Yeah. Kind of apolitical.
Yeah. So, yeah, all right. So, any final words?
Nah, organize.
Power to the people.
What did Huey P say?
What did he say?
What was the quote that I messed up? Think locally. Well, no,
maybe it is
act
think
locally.
Globally, act locally.
Yeah. Think globally, act locally. Yeah,
Yes.
that's it. Yeah. That's it.
Because honestly, as far as preparations, we don't know how this is going to play out. But if you act locally, take care of your community, it doesn't matter how it plays out. That's what you should be doing.
I mean, I think it still matters how it plays out. But
I mean, it does, but you're going to be in a better situation.
Yeah. But the idea behind that is just get active and, get educated and educate the people around you
And don't rely on, I think this is going to play out globally in my favor.
Right, exactly.
You can think globally.
Right.
Act locally.
Yeah.
Act.
But but also you have to think globally. Because the fascists,
also you do have to think globally.
The fascists are thinking globally. The fascists are internationalists.
Yes.
They work globally.
Yes.
So, we got to too. We got to connect
Oligarchs
with
have no country.
I mean, this is why the Panthers were in Algeria and they understood that.
Internationalism.
Exactly.
That's why it's workers of the world unite.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right,
let's go ahead and workers of the world unite. All right, holla. Peace.
There's no way to be committed to nonviolence in the middle of the most violent society that history's ever created. I'm not committed to nonviolence in any way.
The Republican Party and the Democratic Party are beholden to the interests of monopoly capitalism in this country.
The capitalist European and North American powers have carved out and taken the timber, the flax, the hemp, the cocoa, the rum, the tin, the cotton, the iron, the rubber, the bauxite, the slaves, and the cheap labor. They have taken out of these countries. These countries are not underdeveloped, they're overexploited.
Liberals are, at times, allies. At times, they're unreliable allies. So I don't want to just whitewash them. You've got to proceed quite cautiously with liberals.
The man or woman who knows the least about communism is the man or woman who wants to know the least about communism. That is to say, snakes are my enemies. They come to bite me, and I don't even want to know what they look like.
What's happening here for the last 4 years? Brutality, humiliation, our basic human rights taken away from us. All of this has to come to an end through talking. So what? We take their off and put their uniform on. This last 4 years meant nothing. We could do that, no. Or we could behave like the army we proclaim to be and lay down our lives for our comrades.
Country takes place in the transfer of the wealth from the poor to the rich. I'm sorry that you don't like class and the truth, my friend, but you're just stuck with it. Class is right, and the poor have been systematically looted in this country. The rich have been made richer under this criminal, fascist president and his government.
Okay. George, I think do you know what fascism is?
Fascism,
you know what fascism
when it comes
is?
to America,
You know what Nazis are?
Wait, sir. When fascism comes to America, it will not be in brown and black shirts. It will not be with jack boots. It will be Nike sneakers and smiley shirts. Smiley. The fascism. Germany lost the Second World War. Fascism won it. Believe
and actually,
me, my friend.
Fascism is when corporations become the government.
Yes.
And that's sort of what we have.